conducting workshops, seminars, training interventions on personal development, selling skills, and managerial leadership. He has been recognized by Harvard Business Publishing to conduct Stepping Up Management for the first-time managers. He has been a visiting faculty for prominent management institutions like Indian School of Business, Hyderabad. He has led the internationally acclaimed Bulletproof Manager workshops for senior managers across industries. He is the accredited trainer for MILT Training Foundation, personally trained by Mr. Aparesh Acharya, a world-renowned trainer formerly of the Dale Carnegie Associates US. He is a recipient of MILT Sales Course Champion Award and a Dale Carnegie Sales Diploma as well. Of course, Mr. Daniel Jacob has authored few books on topic based on behavioral science. I'm immensely happy in inviting Mr. Daniel Jacob to deliver this session today on the challenges in influencing people. Good evening, Mr. Daniel Jacob. The stage is all yours. You are welcome.
Thank you, Mohan, and good evening to everybody. Thanks for your kind words of introduction. Well, I wish to thank Top League Training and Business Consulting for providing me this platform to express my views on the subject. I also sincerely extend my thanks to each one of the participants over here, because a Sunday evening is a very precious evening for most of us. We would rather want to be in an outing with family, but you opted to be in this webinar, for which I am sincerely grateful and thankful to each one of you. Well, this, as you've been told, is a 2-hour webinar of max duration. And in order to make this webinar a grand success, we solicit your cooperation, because we want to take this webinar seamlessly. And if you have any questions, you can unmute and ask, and then mute again. But we can park all the questions at the end. Only thing is that when I invite you for a participation, then you can participate either using the chat box or unmuting and expressing yourself. But let's ensure that we get this entire session going on zero defect, and I solicit your cooperation in this regards. Well, we have come over here for a very interesting topic, which is titled as Challenges in Influencing People. Okay, I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Danny.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. And now the title of this webinar or the master class is Challenges in Influencing People. Well, when I use the word challenges, it means it's a tough situation, but I have the resources to handle it. That is what is a challenge. I did not title as problems in influencing people. When I say a problem, that means the situation is overwhelming. I'm not able to handle it. But when we say challenges, that means it is a situation and I can tackle it because I've got the resources within me. The word that I used is resources within me, because this is a behavioral science program. The topic is that. So influencing people, we all know people are dynamic and no two human beings think alike. In spite of all that, how do we get people to the line of our thought? Because we might have divergent thoughts, we might have varied thoughts, but it's also important for us to converge our thoughts at certain situations so that we can get a project going on with a unison of mind and attitude. Well, on these lines, I'm going to share with you the subject. And I have certainly done a lot of research on this, and I've been in the training field for close to 3 decades. And certainly I've put my mind and soul into behavioral science and all that. And after doing the research and finding that this is a time-tested method is what I intend to share with you all. So therefore, as we enter the topic, let's understand the traits of a peak performer. When we say a peak performer, it's an high performance behaviors of individuals. You will find there are individuals who are performing very well. They are high performers. Now, behavioral science has mapped these people and found out why they are peak performers, or why is that they have developed, how is that they have developed the high performance behaviors. And there are 4 behavioral traits of peak performers. I want to share with you that. The first trait of a peak performer is the ability to think and express. When I say think, we all think, but there's a different kinds of thinking that is needed as human beings. We might have to think critically, we might have to think design thinking or creative thinking. So therefore, how do we think is also a capability of a high performance behavior. Might look very simple, but having the right thoughts coming and thinking on them is a great privilege indeed for human beings, and to tap into that leads it to be high peak performance. Now that I have got the thinking, I need to express, I've got my thoughts, I've got a creative idea, I want to say this. Now, ability to express is very important. For instance, I have a thought, I need to articulate it and share it. And if I have a thought and if I'm not able to articulate it, me and a dumb person is one and the same. So if you have vision and if you don't see, you are as good as blind. Similarly, you have a thought and if you can't articulate it, it's as much as being dumb. So therefore, you will find the trait of a peak performer is that ability to think and express is inherent in them. And now, having developed this, we need to develop the ability to influence people and events. Why do we think? Why do we express? Because we want to influence people. And what is influence is what we are going to take in the subject. And events. Events are decided because of you, because you have the power to influence. Now, having these 2 abilities, what do we influence people for? We help them to experience success. So influencing people over here is to help people experience success. That means if you find anybody as a peak performer, you will find it is not that they alone are successful, their ability to create successful people around them and even make them succeed to heights that they have not achieved. So therefore, this is a very important trait, help people experience success. And obviously the next trait is experience success in one's own field of activity. Because I can stand over here and give a great talk, but if I have not experienced success, it doesn't have any credibility. So therefore, we need to be successful. But the important thing is that we are successful because we help people to experience success, and that is done by influencing people, which in turn is generated to ability to think and express. So these are the 4 traits of a peak performer or traits of high performance behaviors. So therefore, if you are in the path of wanting to excel, this is a simple map. And if we can work on these 4 traits, we certainly are getting onto the peak. Well, I want to share with you pictures, photos of some leaders, okay? And they are very, very obvious leaders. You don't have to think, you don't have to Google. The very moment I put it, you will know them. Now, let's identify what their leadership traits are, okay? Here we go. I put pictures of 4 people. I don't want to ask you a question who these people are because everybody would know them. We have Mahatma Gandhi. Now, what is Mahatma Gandhi known for? Anybody?
Truthfulness.
Huh?
Ahimsa.
Okay.
Truthfulness and ahimsa.
Okay, truthfulness, ahimsa. Okay, that means certain people become synonymous to certain traits, isn't it? Non-violence. Whenever they think of non-violence, they think of one person in this world, and that's Mahatma Gandhi. Because he could really bring to the knees the biggest empire which was ruling this planet Earth, the majority part of the planet Earth, the Britishers, not by weapons, not by fighting, but by sheer act of non-violence. Okay, and then Nelson Mandela. What do we know him for?
Nelson Mandela.
Fearless.
Fearless. Okay, Sanjay, right? What else?
Empathetic.
Okay, empathy. Okay, being empathetic. Okay, I see some chats coming also. All right. So peace and
anti-apartheid policy.
Absolutely. Okay. Right. Anti-apartheid policy. And for that, he spent 28 years in prison. I was seeing the date from 1962 to 1990. probably the time that I was born to the time that I became 27, 28 years, he was in jail. Mind you, he spent his time for social justice. So therefore, this is Nelson Mandela. We can't forget these people. And I distinctly remember in the year 1990, I was in front of my television to watch this man walk out. And that picture is so vivid in my eyes when he walked out with Winnie Mandela, his wife. So here are these people, two great personalities. And the next person is Azim Premji. What is he known for?
Philanthropy.
Okay, right. Philanthropy, he gives in a lot and probably close to about 8,000 crores of rupees he has given it for a social cause. I'm just taking samples of leaders. There are lots of people who have done it. Here is a person who was able to give.
Can you mute everybody, please?
Please, can you mute your microphones, please? It's disturbing.
Okay, right. So here we have Azim Premji, a philanthropist, a person who gives more. In fact, I always wanted to meet these people, and I had an opportunity to meet him when he came to Taj Coromandel in Chennai for a Madras Management Award. Yeah, basically because these are people who have proved in their lifetime what can be done by a single human being. And the next one is Kapil Dev. Whenever you think of Kapil Dev, what comes in your memory about him?
1983 World Cup.
Okay, fantastic. I
Team
think we all-
motivation.
okay, right. Okay,
Legend.
Okay. And one of the things that we have is that he won the World Cup, the first ever World Cup for India in the year 1983. And I still distinctly remember listening to the commentary on Transistor, because at the time there was no, there was television, but it was not telecast. So year 1983, he won the World Cup. And from impossibility, he made it possible. When the chips were down against New Zealand, he really played the leadership role. And when they're going to play West Indians, mind you, they are the battery of fast bowlers, but yet he could influence the team. And today he set tone for people to love cricket. I still remember my grandmother would love to see Kapil Dev watch. That means he brought cricket into the minds of the old people at that time. So these are people whose traits are so distinct, and they also lived their life on this planet that we are currently living. So these are the four leaders that I put. Now I want to put another set of leaders. Okay. Right. Now these are another set of leaders. We know Osama bin Laden. What is he known for?
Attacking the Twin
Terrorism.
Towers. The Twin
Attack
Towers in
on-
US.
World Trade Center attack.
Yeah.
Okay.
Terrorism.
Okay, right. Osama bin Laden comes from a very wealthy family, highly educated person. And then he founded Al-Qaeda movement. Okay. Then the Velupillai Prabhakaran.
LTT.
Okay. The head
Tamil
of
Elam.
okay, Liberation Tigers of Tamil Elam. Here again, this person certainly had a vision, was working towards certain things. And the next person is Saddam Hussein. What is he known for?
Killing many people. I mean, he
Right, okay. Right.
attack on, I think, Kuwait.
Okay, right. There was a war on Kuwait, okay? And Saddam Hussein was the president of Iraq and person who ruled Iraq for a long time. And then the next person, Hitler. What is he known for?
Cause of World War II.
Okay, right. World War II, Hitler, a very powerful orator. Whenever it comes to oratory, they always refer and they tell you to watch Hitler's videos. In fact, if you're wanting to become an orator, you can watch some of his videos. You can see the fierceness with which he expresses himself. So here we had seen 8 people. And I asked you who these people are without me telling what they are. And now we express something. Now, do you find there's any difference between these two sets of leaders?
It is a
Positive
separation of
influence
positive and
influence.
negative.
Creative and destructive.
Okay, creative, destructive, positive, and negative. Okay, what else? Okay, I will stop it at that. Okay. So here I asked you whether there is any differences. Yes, you said there is a major difference. Mind you, they are also leaders. They are known to us. They also work themselves up to the level that is needed of recognition of influencing people. But the difference between these two sets of people, because as you were telling, the first four set of people, we saw certain positive traits, and the next four, we were trying to bring in the negative traits because they are known for what they have done in their lifetime. So here, both these sets of people are leaders in their own right. Let's not take away that from them. But the difference between them is that one set of people used force, another set of people used empowerment. So here, when you're talking about influencing, let me tell you, influencing is enabling a buy-in without use of force or coercion. So I'm setting the context right over here because we need to understand what influencing is. When I say influencing, it means you enable a buy-in without use of force or coercion. For instance, they say, I mean, don't go with that person, he'll influence you, isn't it? So therefore, they use this term influence as a negative element. Don't go with him, he's going to be influencing you. He's like alcohol, he will influence you. So therefore, we also use it in a negative term, but I want to establish what is the intent of this word that I'm using. When I'm using influence here in this webinar, and for us to understand, it is enabling a buy-in, enabling a willing cooperation from people without use of force or coercion. Now, there are a few words that comes in line. People might ask, then what is convince, what is persuasion, and what is influence? So therefore, we want to have some clarity on these words so that we understand what is influence all about. Because we are talking in a language that is English, and English, as you know, is spoken by 60% of the world's population, and it has got only 26 alphabets. Permutation and combination of it brings in words, and sometimes the words used might have a diametric opposite meanings. So here, as we have this process of influencing people, we need to understand that people understand the text and the context of your communication. And the moment the text is taken away from the context and it is quoted out of context, that is where the problem comes. So therefore, let's be very careful when we use words that the text and the context is in line and not to misquote it out of context. All conflicts happen because a word which was said with a good intent was perceived as a wrong intent, which has led to many wars and many problems in the society and in family. So let's get to understand what is convince, what is persuasion, and what is influence. When we say convince, it means to make someone believe or feel sure about something, especially by using logic, supporting materials, or evidences. This is how we try to convince people. Salespeople go about convincing their prospects to buy a product, or anybody, a child is trying to convince, parents are trying to convince, employer is trying to convince the employee, and the other way around. Everybody's trying to convince. So convince is especially by using logics, supporting materials, or evidences. Now, that is what is convince. Persuasion is can be used to spur someone to action or to make a decision without actually earning their sincere buy-in. So your persuasion is a coercion. Persuasion is manipulation because there is no sincere buy-in. So therefore, I've established the difference between convince, persuasion, and now we are getting into influence. So therefore, whenever you say I'm trying to convince people, that means I'm putting an effort. I'm trying to persuade people. I'm putting an effort and making them to take a decision. You would find lots of people say, I didn't want to buy the product, but the salesman pushed the product. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to take the decision, but that person forced me into a decision. So therefore, this is what is persuasion. Now, we are in the subject called influence, and let's understand what influence is. So attributes of influence is having a vision of optimum outcome without use of force or coercion, motivating people to work towards making the vision a reality. Okay, so this is one attribute of influence. Influence is dedicating time to win someone's heart or earn mind's share as a prerequisite to the process of inspiring them to take action or make a particular decision. So here you see both of these attributes are talking about you work towards winning their heart or their mind share. Influence isn't about manipulating others into going against their values or goals to do what you want. Rather, it's about getting results that benefit both parties. Okay, that means we talk about I win, you win, isn't it? Right? We have heard this concept called I win, you win. Whenever we talk about this word I win, you win, it means you get the best result, I also get the best result. But here, when we say I win, you win, it really means your win is my win. If I have done this webinar and I see people have benefited from it, that is my win. My win is not that I convince people to join for a course of mine. But here, when I say I win, you win, I think this is a good paradigm shift I got in my life about this definition of I win, you win. It's not you win from a deal, I also win. But here, the attitude is your win is my win. Just imagine if all of us in this forum are working with this attitude of making people experience win, and their win becomes my win. That means everybody is working for the other, selfless. We are not working, we are not talking with the intent of WIIFM, what's in it for me? But our approach has to be, as an influencer, WIIFO, what is in it for the other? So if I stand and conduct this webinar, and I think at the end of 1.5 hours, how many people are going to register for my course? I am not influencing. I am more trying to convince people. But if you can take some inputs on this webinar, and because of that, if you can experience a behavioral change, and that is my win because you benefited from it. So therefore, influencer works with win-win attitude. That means your win is my win. So influence is a mechanism by which you change others' opinions, attitudes, and behaviors to suit your interest as well as theirs. I'm only giving you various attributes of it. So here, one of the important things that we can see in all these 4 attributes is it's the other person in mind. It's the, as I started the session with that 4 traits, helping people to succeed. The greatest is helping people to succeed. For instance, we have leaders of 2 kinds. One leader is of this kind. You suppress people and you want to be up. But one leader is of this kind who grows people and sees the growth of people and is happy. So therefore, true leadership or true influence is our ability to lift people and make them to experience success much more than what you and I have experienced. So therefore, these are the attributes of influence. So therefore, having set the context on influence, now I'm going to share with you situations. But before I go into the situations, I want to get into the topic by asking you a question. What are the challenges you face in influencing people? You would have probably tried to influence people. Your intentions was good. Okay, as I told you about the attributes of influence. Now, you would have faced some challenges. So what are the challenges you face in influencing people? Can you share either on a chat?
Others have their own preconceived ideas, which we have to get through.
Okay, right, madam. People have their own preconceived notions, and we need to get ideas across. A good point, Nirmala, madam. Okay, anybody else? What are these challenges?
People
Okay,
have multiple
close-minded.
perspectives. Multiple perspectives.
Okay, multiple perspectives. Okay, fine, Sanjay. People come out to the discussion table with various perspectives, various points of view and opinions. Okay, here I see.
They don't see what I see.
Right. Okay, that's very important. Okay, they don't see what I see. I think you're right. A good one, Narendra. That means you have seen something, you have seen a bigger picture, but they are not able to see the picture. And the picture that you're seeing is something great. And you want them to see that picture, but they're not able to see it. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. So here we find one more response over here, which talks about being close-minded. This will suspect our motive. Okay. And difference in goals and difference in perspectives. right? Preconceived notions. So these are some of the challenges, and whatever I'm going to
No,
share.
probably one more thing, sir. There is a lack of preparation before we pitch ourselves. Most of us, at least in my experience, I have seen unpreparedness also is a failure to influence the people.
Okay, from the part of the influencer not being prepared. Okay, right, good. So therefore, you're talking about the influencers' challenges that come to a meeting, a proposal, and you're not prepared, you're not done your homework. Okay, certainly. This is about the influencer. All along, people are giving about the audience, and Mr. Patil has given this perspective of, as an influencer, you need to be prepared as well. You need to have a subject knowledge. You must be thorough with what you're saying, which is very important. Okay, which I'll be coming in these sessions, in these forthcoming slides. So therefore, having set this role, whatever you said falls in the 6 situations. I've created 6 situations, which a situation we all face. Now, having these situations, let's consider them as a challenge, and how do we overcome it? So here it says you have a great proposal and you want to influence people and get their buy-in. We all do that, okay? As Narendra said, Mr. Nayak said, that they don't see what you see. You got a great vision, and you are in a higher branch, and you see the horizon, but people are low down, and you want to get them up there. So therefore, we all suffer from that because we've got something great to share, but it is being shut down. Okay, so you got a proposal like that, and you want to influence people and get their buy-in. Now, what are some of the best human relation principles that will help in doing so? So whatever I'm going to share with you, the challenges that is there, and what is the principles that we need to adopt, the methodologies we need to adopt, the human relation principles that we need to adopt is what I want to share with you from the 6 situations that I'm going to share, which is very, very relatable to each one of us. So here we have got the first situation. I'm going to put the first situation over here. And I would like you all to share your views. As we said, we'll take in a couple of views and few views. And then after that, I will share what I have got. And I'm willing to change what I've got if you're able to influence me better your point, okay? Because as I told you, I stand over here to give a session, not saying that I know you listen. But I stand over here to give the session. I know something and I'm sharing with you. And if you can give me a wider perspective, I'm willing to take it. Okay, right. Let's say you are about to put forth your proposal. For example, waste reduction. We'll take this topic as waste reduction because it would appeal to everybody. To your members. Okay, wait, let me see one of the... Right, you're about to put forth your proposal. Example, waste reduction to your team. And there are members who might differ with you, but you want to establish a common ground and set the right tone. Just imagine the situation. You got a proposal, there's too much of waste that is happening. And then you want to bring this up to the team members, but they might differ with you. Okay, like you said, preconceived notions, you certainly know they might differ with you, but you want to ensure you establish a common ground so that you can get the decision going on the right track. Okay, now how do you establish the right tone for the meeting and the common ground? Okay, so this is the situation. Now, just imagine a situation, you'd have faced a situation. It's an example of waste reduction, but you can think of any situation that you have faced, a topic that you have brought in, but different team members might differ with you, but you want to set the meeting on the right tone and establish a common ground. So what do you think is the best way for you to establish the common ground and the right tone? Anybody sharing? Yes, sir?
Yeah,
please.
Yeah. They all may differ in by which way it is to be handled, but they all will agree. But wastage is a problem for everybody, and they'll be willing to listen to the methods. But they bringing them to oneness is the task.
Is that okay? So what would you do? Now you got that. What would you do in order to bring in that common ground and set the right tone? Okay, right. And Nirmala Madam says, create a pleasant ambience and show that disease will be overcome because of waste accumulation. Okay, right. How would you do that? Okay, so that means creating a pleasant ambience. Right, here let's go ahead and see what it means. So here you have to establish the right tone for the meeting and the common ground. So one of the important things that we can do is, we say influence human relation principle. One is that when you start the meeting, it's very important that people get to understand and be in an affirmative mode once they get into the meeting and the topic. It is said, get yes, yes, yes response to start with. For instance, if you're going to have a meeting on this topic, and if you make a statement and ask a question where you get yes from the audience, and the next statement or a question you ask, you get yes for an answer. The next question you ask or a statement you make, you get a yes for an answer. Now, can you imagine you're making the listener's thinking process rotate in an affirmative direction? You're asking leading questions leading to yes, 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 yes. That means you're getting them to think in that line that is needed. And now psychologists tell us, by doing that, you're making the listener's thinking process move in an affirmative direction. And then when you make the final proposal, you're certainly going to get yes for an answer. That's for sure. For instance, if you ask a question, a controversial question, or make a statement where you get a no, the next question or a statement you make, you get a no. The third question you ask or a statement you make, you get a no. And the final proposal, however great it's going to be, you're going to get no for an answer. So therefore, it's very important to set the common ground and the right tone by getting the yes, yes response. Okay, now in waste reduction, can somebody help me asking 3 simple questions, no complication, where you get a buy-in from them? Yes.
What is the question, sir?
The question is, you are making a proposal, okay, on waste reduction. Now you want these people to agree with your point. So you're going to ask them 3 questions where you get yes, yes, yes response.
You all will agree with me. Waste is the botheration.
Okay, right.
Health.
Okay, right. Okay, right. Okay, waste is a botheration for our health. Okay, Pradeep talks about, do we think that we should improve profitability? Okay, right. Don't you feel we need to remove this waste? Okay, right. Now, can it be indirect, leading to it?
Will it be a good idea? Will it be a good idea to generate income out of this waste?
Okay, right. Now, instead of bringing in the topic waste, you can probably build it in manner like this. Simple. I'm sure we would like to enhance the productivity of the organization, isn't it? I'm sure we'd like to enhance the profitability of our work, isn't it? I'm just throwing you some situations. I'm sure you'd like to see that we maximize on the resources that we have. Won't you agree with me? So therefore, these are some questions you can ask, okay, where you get a buy-in. It's not that you're suggesting, but you're asking it in the form of a question. For instance, even this thing works even with parenting. For instance, if you find your child is lazy, wasting time on the cell phone, you can use your authority. But it is persuasion that you're doing, coercion. But if you can influence and get a buy-in and make them to understand that their time is very important by asking questions, simple, I'm sure you like to have a great life. I'm sure you like to be successful in life. And I'm sure you want to have a life where you have abundance of things, isn't it? So therefore, when there is a tone where they say, yes, it need not have to be vocal, even by acknowledgement, you're making them to buy into that idea of discipline is very important. Okay, so therefore, this is a very proven way, and I've seen this people use it many number of times in a very sincere manner, getting a yes response to start with, or even in between, they ask questions where they get a yes response, and then they know that they are going on the right track. Even in selling, salesmen are told to pitch in a need and ask them a question. Is this what you want? Is this what you want? And then after ascertaining it, then they boil down to the solution. Okay, so this is the influence principle number 1. Now I will go ahead and I will do the summarizing also of it. Now situation 2, out of the 6 situations, the second situation that we are in is, as you're presenting your ideas, let's say now we are asked these yes questions. As you're presenting your ideas, you find team members start expressing divergent thoughts, and most of them are not in line with your proposal. We know divergent thoughts are good. Okay, and we can't expect all convergent thoughts. We need to have divergent thinking as well. But you find most of them are not in line with your proposal or the topic in hand. In such a scenario, what would be the best possible approach? Okay, people are in the meeting, everybody's expressing thoughts, and we appreciate thoughts, but importantly, many of them or some of them of the members, it's not in line with your proposal. In such a situation, what would be the best possible approach?
I agree with your views and viewpoints regarding the situation, but why don't you look at it from my perspective, please?
Okay, good. Okay, here you're trying to get in a buy-in. Good, madam. Okay, so therefore I agree. I certainly am in line with you, but I would like you to look at it from the perspective that is in discussion. Okay, right. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Okay, right. Mr. Sanjay says common vision and benefit. Okay, common grounds is what we discussed. Okay, so here, as I told you, divergent thoughts are not bad. We need it. Because if everybody is going to converge, it's a danger. Either converge in agreement or converge in disagreement, it's bad. This is a disease in a team meeting, which has been called as groupthink. Groupthink is a herd mentality. Everybody thinks, so I'm thinking. Everybody is saying, so I'm saying. Everybody is going, so I'm going. So therefore, there should not be any herd mentality. We don't want people to converge. We want divergence. But at some times, it can be absolutely out of the track, which is not in line with our proposal. And in a situation like this, what we need to do is that human relation principles on influence number 2 says, show respect for the person's opinion. As Nirmala madam very rightly said, show respect for the other person's opinions. Because the fact that has occurred in the person's mind has to be respected. If this respect is given, that person is going to try to understand what you are trying to say and will fall in line. So therefore, show respect for the other person's opinions. A very simple thing. I certainly know whatever you're saying, respect, because the moment we respect, we are getting the person to respect you. But the moment you say, sorry, you're wrong. Many a time we have heard people in a meeting say, no, you're wrong. The moment you tell somebody you're wrong, let me tell you, you have activated the defense mechanism in that person. That person has put an insulation around him or her, and that person is not going to listen to you closed. Because the moment the person said something and you said you're wrong, that person is going to activate his or her defense mechanism. So therefore, it's very important not to say somebody you're wrong. And the moment you do that, now they wait for an opportunity to tell you're wrong. So therefore, it goes on a tit for tat mode. So therefore, in behavioral science, we say, instead of telling a person you're wrong, you can say, sorry, I beg to differ with you. Over. We don't want to agree. Sorry, I beg to differ with you. Because this is much more civilized. We are differing. That's about it. But people need not have to be wrong. Because nobody ever says something that they need to be wrong or that they want it to be wrong. So therefore, we only differ. So therefore, very, very important principle that we need to understand is that you might have some thoughts coming. It can be in your personal front, social front, or professional front. These are very simple principles which will help you to establish a buy-in. Show respect for the other person's opinion, to their opinion, and never tell them you're wrong. You can always say, sorry, I beg to differ with you. For instance, let's say if I'm doing this as a face-to-face class in a hotel room, and 50 of y'all are gathered here. And if I tell y'all to write a précis about this room, okay, and you will write in the same room, we're all sitting for about an hour or so, and I will never get any two précis same. It's going to be different. We all sat in the same room. We all listened to the same things, but we all were different in our own thoughts. So therefore, it's very important. We respect people for their opinions, even though it might not be in line, even though it might be immature-ish, even though it might be much advanced or very low. Show respect, but never tell a person you're wrong. Instead, you can say, sorry, I beg to differ with you. That ensures you don't offend the person. You're still allowing the person to disagree with you and not to get the defense mechanism activated. Now, situation 3.
I have a one-liner sentence, Dan. This is
Yes,
Pat.
yeah.
Suck the essence gloriously, kick the nuisance silently.
Okay, right. Okay, that is something that you all can take. I think it's a good one. And you have come out with something very poetic. Absolutely. Okay, so take the essence and then throw the nuisance. Okay, that's the long and short of whatever you said, Pat. Okay, during the course of the meeting, now the situation 3 says, during the course of the meeting, a member gets into an argument with you. It happens. See, I'm just reading the situation. And as you're going into the topic, a member gets into an argument with you. Now, you want to get the best of an argument. In such a scenario, what would you do?
Not to argue.
Huh?
Not to argue.
Okay, and Mr. Naik says not to argue, okay? Right? Why we shouldn't argue? Argument, no. You got to get the best out of it. Why shouldn't they argue?
See, at the end of the argument, you may win your argument, but you will lose a friend.
Okay, right. You will win an argument, but you will lose a friend, okay? Anybody else? Thanks, Naik, for your...
You could say that I see your point of view, but I beg to differ. I cannot agree so much with what you're saying.
Okay.
One more one-liner is there. If I permitted, I will want to say. Person convinced against his will.
Okay,
Keeps his opinion still.
Naik, just a minute. There's disturbances. Nirmala, madam, you can come back with your point again. And there's a disturbance. Kindly mute it, okay? Right.
My point was, if the argument is from the another person, I would say, oh, very good, sir. I see your point of view, but however, I beg to differ.
Okay.
And I request you to see it from my side.
Okay.
You know? Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks, madam. Right. Somebody was saying something?
Yeah.
Arguments work on ignorance. Discussions work on intelligence.
Okay.
Arguments work on ignorance. Discussions work on intelligence.
Okay, right.
Person convinced against his will keeps his opinion still.
Okay, right. I think today we are getting very poetic. Did I get a group of poets inside? Okay. Oh, we are unearthing poetry from people. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so now having received points from 3 of y'all, and I'm sure I'm getting some chats as well, and I'm sure others are very silent participants. We are all in a meeting right now, and I'm putting a proposal on challenges in influencing people, and now we are discussing. So therefore, let's say we got into an argument. So the best, if you want to get the best of an argument, what would you do? It's simple. It says the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Because the moment you know it's an argument that is coming up, the best is to avoid it. Because it has been proven nobody ever wins an argument. I'm not talking about argument that is put in the court of law. That's different. Okay. But here I'm talking when you're discussing, a situation gets into a boiling point, it becomes an argument. And if you sensed it's going to becoming an argument, the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Because as you heard from the participant itself saying, in an argument, it's not important what is right. It's important who is right. My ego is so big, I don't want to be proved that I'm wrong. So therefore, I will defend it. Or the other person knows the point that is raised has been not right, and now probably pointed back at him, that person gets into an argument. So each one holds on to the point of view. Each one is egoistic. They don't want to accept it. So therefore, If this is an ego clash of I'm right, irrespective of what I'm saying, other person says I'm right, irrespective of what is said, you can never win an argument. Because who means it's personality clash. So therefore, never ever get into an argument. As Mr. Nayak said, in a battle of argument, it is best to be on the losing side because you're a winner. Because if you want to get the best of an argument, you need to avoid it. Because you would have seen in your own families, you would have seen in the society, you would have seen in the country, and you would see in the parliament, okay, people are arguing. But you will find at the end of it, you go to a public place and you find arguments taking place, just watch, stand far away and watch. I've been watching some of it. Both of them are so vociferous about their point. And both of them look right. Because somebody has to be wrong, isn't it? Somebody has to give in. But here, both of them are sticking on to it. And therefore, there's no solution at all. So never, ever get into an argument. But if you are in a discussion, and if it gets into an argument, the only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. So therefore, arguments have to be avoided. But discussions should be taken, participated. Because in a discussion, it's not important who is right. It's important what is right. The subject on hand is more important than the people discussing. We want to find a way to take the project ahead. We want to see to it that the project is successful. So therefore, when the project takes precedence, when the what is taking precedence, the who is subdued, and that is a very healthy situation. So therefore, get out of an argument. The only way is to avoid it. But if it's a discussion, by all means take part, because we are discussing on what is right instead of who is right. So you need to be qualified to take part in a discussion. And that qualification is this principle, which says, if you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Okay, you're discussing, you made a point of view, and somebody brings in another statistics, and you know what you have said is outdated, not in context. It's maturity to say, sorry, I withdraw my statement and I stand corrected. Over. I think this is the greatest of all maturity which a leader can show. I've seen the tallest of leaders, some of them. Their greatness is not in their position. Their greatness is when they have wrong, they even apologize to somebody very, very low in their functional status. So here, the greatness of an individual is the moment you know what you said was not right, you will admit your mistakes quickly and emphatically. But what will egoistic people do? They will say, no, what I meant to say was, and they beat around the bush. So it doesn't work that way. So therefore, take part in a discussion, and to be qualified to take part in a discussion, if you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Now, situation 4. Now you find one of the members is very much convinced about his ideas, but they don't seem to resonate with you. Here, it's a behavior which is very participative in nature. One person comes out with an idea, probably a brainwave, a spark, and is wanting to share that with you, but you know it does not resonate with the proposal. So how would you handle such a situation? Okay, this has got a tone of being participator, and the idea doesn't resonate. Excited, you know, in meetings you've seen people absolutely excited about a point, and they want to share it, but you know it does not resonate with your proposal. So how would you handle such a situation?
We can ask him to express his views in a separate discussion.
Okay, right. So you're trying to, you will say, okay, this is a good point. Let's discuss it offline. It's not resonating with the proposal right now, but we'll certainly consider it. We will discuss it going forward, isn't it? Okay, right, Mr. Gopal. Yeah. Thank you so much. Try to reason from his perspective. Okay, right. Okay, try to reason from his perspective. Why is he saying what is he saying? Okay, right, Sanjay? Okay, now having got some light from you all as an audience, because as I told you, if you are willing to influence me on this topic and change certain principles or make it better, not change, make it better, I'm absolutely game for it. And because when I talk about influencing people, you also need to influence, because you know, for a betterment, these things can do good. Okay. So here it says, as you said, see things honestly from the other person's point of view. See it from the other person's perspective. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. Why is the person saying what he or she is saying? And the moment you see things from the other person's point of view, you get an insight into why it is being said. Or probably you get your own perspective changed because of that. So therefore, since I'm a person open for discussion, I'm a person open to be corrected. So therefore, I honestly try to see things from that person's point of view. And then I take a call either to go with it or not to go with it. Okay, let's say there's an object. What is the shape of this object? If you can see the object. What is the shape of this object? Yep, you can see it. You can say it. I'm not looking at the chat. Yes, sir.
Clearly.
Can't see it clearly. Okay, now
Your object is in white color. Background is also white.
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, right now, what is the shape?
The object is rectangular.
Okay, right. So I got a answer saying rectangle, but I say it's a straight line. Now you're saying it's a rectangle, but I'm saying it's a straight line. And here we are caught into a situation. So now for a moment, I stop to think, why are people calling it rectangle? And then you might wonder, why is Daniel calling it a straight line? And then I see it from your point of view and say, oh, it's rectangle, is it? From your point of view. And you might say, why is Daniel calling it a straight line? Then you see it from here, you find it's a straight line. So therefore, very, very important thing in discussion and influencing people is that try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. That means you're not stuck. I've not come out with a prejudice, my idea is the best, this project is the best, but I'm now thrown it open and I want people to share their own ideas. Sure, try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. Now, situation 5, after a lot of deliberation, your team members are convinced with their proposal. Now we're moving that discussion, convinced with their proposal, but there seemed to be some hesitation. You would have seen that, isn't it? Now all the convincing has been done, influencing has been done, and now they come to a situation, but they seem to have some hesitation. You would have seen that, isn't it? It's there, but there something is still missing. So you need to infuse the most needed confidence in your team members. What would you do? Because we all faced it. It's all fine. We have seen it. And now we need to infuse the confidence. So the principle that we need to live by, it says, appeal to their nobler motives. When I say appeal to the nobler motives is, they are now convinced about it, but there's some hesitation with them. So the best thing that we need to do is that appeal to the nobler motives. When we say appeal to the nobler motives is, bring out the best points in that individual or the team member or the team based on the past records or past execution, or based on the project in hand, which has been agreed upon to do. For instance, I have seen you work on the project and you've been so dedicated, and I'm sure little bit of dedication is going to get this across. And I have seen such a project implemented by you all in phases, and you've done a great job. And I'm sure little bit more effort, we can do it better. Because it is said, everybody has got two sides, one the noble side and the other the evil side. The moment we identify the noble side of the individual and appeal to their nobler motives, you can do it. You have shown commitment. It is possible. Because now it is the final push. I'm not saying this in the start. I'm saying it at a stage when we have made all the convincing done and we have come to a situation where they're about to get into action, but there's some hesitation. So appeal to the nobler motives and underwrite the consequences. Underwrite the consequences means go ahead and implement the project. Go ahead and implement the scheme, and I underwrite the consequences. Don't worry about what happens. You just go ahead and implement. And if you say it with conviction, people develop the confidence saying, yes, okay, don't worry, I will take care if anything happens. So people who love to follow a strong leader talks from the power of conviction, and you underwrite the consequences. Don't worry about what happens, I underwrite the consequences. So here, this is giving them that confidence. The nobler motives is that a little bit of hesitation, you're telling to them, reminding them of their qualities that they have, and you are giving them the guarantee, don't worry, go ahead, you underwrite the consequences, and now they are absolutely convinced to go ahead. Now the sixth situation, the final one, hesitations are cleared, and there is acceptance to implement the proposal. And now you need to give the final push. Now it's all clear on the table. Okay, everything is done. The little bit of hesitation is also now cleared, and now you need to give the final push. Okay, so now how would you do that? Now everything is set. What is that you can do? You would have seen, isn't it? A coach and the captain in the field with the 12 players, 11 players. He is now not giving talks as to how you can improve your skill, but now he's giving the final push to go.
Set the goal and facilitate.
Okay, set the goal and facilitate. Okay, right now everything is convincing is done. Now the objective has been defined, and now set the goal and persuade them or convince them. Okay, anybody else? Yeah, I see some chat. Okay, give motivation. Okay, praise past accomplishments. Ask for it. Okay, so here we are talking about the final push is that dramatize your ideas. When we say dramatize your ideas, means now you've got this audience who have been with you. In fact, in one of the sessions, I gave a talk on listeners' behaviors. You probably would have had hostile behaviors. You would have probably had apathetic people. You would have probably had people who were sophisticated, who thought they knew everything. And then you had very critical people. And now you brought them to the level of credent. Now there's a credibility. Now, having built a credibility with them, you're not going to tell them everything once again. Instead, you're going to dramatize your ideas. That means you're going to humanize an example, tell an incident of how a project like this was implemented by a person, or personalize how you were able to overcome situations of this kind and how you can make it possible. For instance, yesterday we had Vaidishwaran giving a talk on storytelling, and he was giving a talk about showing a video about Obama giving the talk. Here you can find Obama, the president, former president, when he was running in for the presidential election, he was dramatizing his ideas. He was humanizing it. He was personalizing. He was giving a story of a person. And he was also giving his own story. And people over there will buy it because they are his voters and supporters. So now you got a support for your project. Now it's a time to really give them that motivation by means of dramatizing ideas, wherein you give in anecdotes, you humanize it, giving examples of people, because people love to listen to stories. So give them real life stories. It can be your own story as well. So therefore, these are the 6 principles that I want to share with you. Very simple, yet very powerful. And I want you all to internalize this and probably live it. And then we shall certainly take feedback as to see how it worked. Because as I told you, for 30 years, I've been conducting these sessions, and I've been able to get work done. Okay, not manipulation, but by willing cooperation. And I've seen people also avoided stress for themselves and for others by living by these principles. So it says, get yes response to start with, show respect for the other person's opinions, never tell a person you're wrong, isn't it? We saw that. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. And if you're wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view and be sympathetic with their ideas. Okay. Appeal to their nobler motives and underwrite the consequences. So therefore, these are the 6 principles of dramatize your ideas. Here you can share stories, anecdotes, and case studies, and humanize and personalize. So therefore, here you can lead your people into a buy-in by a very systematic manner, why you don't go through stress and you don't stress the other. And that is what is influencing people. So therefore, these are 6 great principles that if we can live by, we will be great influencers. And the reason we need to be influencers is that we need to help people to grow. As much as we want to grow, we help people to grow. Now, having gone through that, we are going to be influencers. We need to have some traits of influencers. So what do you think are some of the traits of an influencer? For instance, you have seen people who have influence, who had a great influence on your life. I want to share with me some traits, what you feel an influencer possesses. What are some of the traits of an influencer?
Ever smiling, pleasant face.
Okay, very cheerful, pleasant. Okay, we all like to be with cheerful people, isn't it? We don't like to be with snobbish people. Okay, right, Nirmala madam. Okay.
Clear vision and good communication.
Okay, right. A person has got the vision and a mission and is able to articulate that vision and a mission. Okay, thank you. But anybody else before I go ahead to share the traits that I've got?
Truthfulness.
Okay, being honest, being truthful and not manipulative. Synthesizer. Okay, being confident, right?
Open-minded.
Being open-minded. Okay, that's a great point. The reason is that an influencer is willing to learn from others. It can be anybody willing to correct. It can be a child. A person can learn and can acknowledge the learning that the person has got. Okay, right. Thank you so much, because we are in the process of this very important leadership trait of developing to influence people and events. As I told you, it's not manipulation, it's not coercion, but it's enabling willing cooperation and a buy-in. So therefore, what are the traits of it? I've got over here. First is that we need to be a role model. We need to walk the talk and not give a talk and take a walk. Because we know some people come and give some powerful talks, but they never live the talk. Let me share with you my personal experience as I share with you about 7 traits that we need to inculcate in order to have this power to influence. And I have been influenced by a lot of people. I am what I am because I have been influenced by people, and I'm willing to take in when I see something good in that person. Well, for a long time, in the year 1988, I never knew there was something called training as a profession. I never knew there was training, so therefore I never knew there was training as a profession. So 1988 in Chennai, I attended a seminar, a face-to-face seminar by a person, a very, very powerful speaker. For 3 hours, he held the audience captive. 150 odd people, no microphone, stood there and delivered with lots of enthusiasm. And I looked at him and said, man, I want to be him. And when I was sitting in that seminar, I was a guy who couldn't ever read a paragraph in a classroom. I could never ever go up to the stage and say thank you to people. I was so much of a nervous wreck. But I saw this man and said, man, I want to be him. And then I got to attend this program. I enrolled for a training program. And I tell you, it changed my life. It has influenced my very own life. Today, I am what I am. I would attribute it, my training skills, whatever I possess is this person. And he's Mr. Aparesh Acharya, the founder of MILT Training Foundation. And I've been with him closely for 30 odd years. And I remember the statement that he makes, and he lives by it. He says, if I tell you I'm going to be in a particular time, in a particular place, and if I'm not there in that time and in that place, you can bet that I'm dead and you'll be right. That's exactly what his commitment was. That means he says, if I tell you a time and a date, I will be there. And if I'm not there, you can bet I'm dead and you'll be right. I saw this in him, and I've seen him in the 30 odd years that I have seen him, traveled and been with him. Never has he been late for a session. His session would start at 6 o'clock in the evening, and he's in the hall at 5 o'clock. In spite of 30 years of experience, he's there. And this is a trait that I've learned. And friends, let me tell you, I've been in training for 30 years. By God's grace, I've never missed a session. I've never been late for a session. I've had physical problems. I had bereavements in the family. I had celebrations at home, but I ensured I was always there because I was influenced by this man, because he was a role model. And today, friends, I can tell you with all my simplicity, there were bereavement in my family just a few months back. And I had session on that same day. I did my session and went and attended my own mother's funeral service. So I'm not telling you to boast of myself, just to tell you how a person can influence you, to tell you your tragedy is there, no doubt, but there are 20 odd people sitting there and their schedule should not be disrupted. So therefore, being a role model is very important, because people don't just listen to what you say, but people observe you. So therefore, we might talk great things, but how our life is very important. So being a role model is very, very important. So therefore, we are in the process of influencing people, a very, very powerful trait. And for that, we need to ensure one of the traits that we need to live by is to be a role model. And to have credibility, you must be credible. For me, when I say credible, when you have the expertise and trust, you're a credible person. That means you are a trustworthy person. You're a good person. You keep a commitment. You are an expert. You know your subject well. The moment you have both these things, that is what is credibility. Now, there are some people who lack expertise and they don't have trust also. Now, such people are liable. They are liability. And there are some people who lack expertise, but you can trust them. They are good people, but they don't have expertise and they are available. You can groom them. Okay, that's why they say people hire you for your EQ and train you for your IQ. That's what is the corporate jargon those days. That means they see how good a person you are, how committed a person you are, and expertise can be developed. So therefore, if you have a person who has got highly trustworthy but doesn't have expertise, then that person is available. Now, what about this person who is an expert, but you cannot trust that person? What can you give the name for this person? An expert, but you can't trust.
No integrity.
Okay, no integrity. Just imagine a situation, okay, no integrity. A person is too good in the work, but he will just fail you at the time that you need it. No integrity, okay, right? Anybody else?
Unreliable.
Okay, unreliable, okay. Okay, I'm looking at matching that suffix called able, okay. Useless, okay. Kavita says useless. I'm giving you the clue. It's I've made it very poetic, like the way Mr. Pattabhiraman over here said, liable, okay.
Not dependable.
Undependable, okay. Right. Credible. What else? I want you to think of it. Just imagine a situation. Let's take a simple example. A plumber who's too good in plumbing. And you know, if he comes there, he'll do the work. And he'll tell you, I'm coming another 2 hours time, sir. And he never comes even after 2 days. You can't trust him. I'm sure you would have experienced it. So what did you call that person?
Dependable, not dependable.
Yeah? Undependable. Unreliable. Okay.
Unreliable.
Unreliable. Okay. Right. Right. Okay. The word is simple. It's terrible. Okay. They are terrible people. Okay. So that's why you will find in an organization or anywhere, even a sporting field, you find a person can be an exponent of spin or pace or playing the shots, or probably is highly skilled technically. But if the person does not have that integrity, that person is not preferred at all. So therefore, one of the things that I want to put across to tell you all this is that develop expertise, develop your subject matter expertise, know what you're doing, or be willing to learn and have trust, be a person whom they can count on. And that is what is credible. So here, this is the credibility quotient. So here we found out you got to be a role model, you got to be credible, and you got to be consistent. When I say consistent, if you're getting angry, get angry consistently. And not to your subordinates and not to people of your peers who probably do a work not in line with what is your requirement. And it's not giving a preferential treatment, but being consistent. If you love everybody. If you're angry on a work ethics, it has to be across board. and it should not be just for my subordinate and not for the other. Be consistent. Here I like to quote my mother. My mother was a very consistent person. She passed away in the month of December 6th. Okay, and I remember she's a lady of high values or integrity. The moment anybody bypasses that, it can be, she was a teacher in a corporation school. Even if her headmistress doesn't abide by it, she gets angry with her. Even if there's a person who is a trade union leader or a traders leader in opposite to house, and if this guy is doing certain things which is trying to deface the wall of a house, she would immediately stand from the balcony and shout at that man. And that man is respected by a lot of people. She's not bothered. And that is the consistency that probably people said it was a weakness, but it was a strength. And she's no more. And when they gave testimony about her, this is what they said. She always called a spade a spade. She never bothered. It could be her own son. If I borrowed money and if I'm not given it in time, she'll scream at me. But if she has borrowed money from me, and she will give her head and give me the money. That is the consistency of behavior. So therefore, my mother is a great influencer. And needless to say, my father, in the one category of influence, empathizing. Like we saw, one of the things of an influencer is that our ability to empathize. Here we all know what is empathy, isn't it? I don't want to ask you a difference between sympathy and empathy, because as many webinars that I've been attending, they give a different distinction between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is feeling. Empathy is putting that feeling into action. Sympathy is praying. Empathy is helping hands. That's why they say helping hands are more holier than praying lips. So empathize. I had this great opportunity to meet Mother Teresa in the year 1992 in Kolkata, when we went there for a convention. And the moment I saw this person, I was touched. Such a simple person anybody could meet. What was the difference between Mother Teresa and few social organizations? She empathized. She was a teacher, Agnes that she was. She was going through her daily work. One day she saw somebody suffering on the deathbed, on the street. She got down, she empathized, and she created the missionaries of charity. And friends, I was very fortunate to have met this person. And then I can tell you her works are phenomenal. Every time I go to Calcutta, I go to AJC Bose Road, and there is that burial place of hers there. I sit there in silence. Lots of people flock in. The reason is that this person was a great person because, and could influence a lot of people and have about 4,000 odd sisters and in around 120 countries, a work that is being spread because she could influence, because she was able to empathize. Be a people's person. People should love to be with you. When I say be a people's person, it's about you are in demand. People should miss your absence, and people should empowered by your presence. That's why it is said some people bring happiness wherever they go, and some people bring happiness whenever they go. So either you're going to bring happiness wherever you go or whenever you go. So therefore, be a person who could bring happiness. That means you are such an energy that people feel empowered. A life that is worth its salt is that when you are alive, when I'm alive, people should love our presence. And when we are gone, people should feel our absence. So therefore, these influencers will be absent physically, but they are there always in the spirit. So therefore, being a people's person, connecting with people and being there for people and considering humanity as one big family. And this is a very powerful trait of an influencer. You expand the horizon of your influence and not limit it to a small group of your family or your society or your nation, but beyond. You're a generator of ideas, a very, very important trait. An influencer is that who can generate ideas. Here I would like to quote a person whom I met last year in the month of February. Okay. And then I got to meet with them, got to interact with this person. And then we were doing all this together and the pandemic stuck. I remember going with them to Bangalore to find venues for his program. And I was going for my own program. And then pandemic stuck. But every problem has its opportunity. And this person saw an opportunity. He created a company called Top League. Mind you, friends, all these people, 40-odd shareholders of Top League, were the ones who attended a training program, training program. And he had a meeting with them and he told them, you guys have spent close to ₹1,00,000, but if you really want to develop, you need to have an organization that supports you. So therefore, each one of them put 25,000 rupees and he mooted this idea. Each one of them put 25,000 rupees and a company called Top League was established. And friends, today, pandemic stuck, we could have closed doors and sat down, but this person had the vision of creating a platform. And I am standing and delivering from this platform because this person, in a short time of just about 7-8 months, could generate a database of 5,000 odd people. I'm talking to you about Mr. Arun Subramaniam, the Managing Director of Top League Training and Business Consulting. So here, he is able to generate ideas. Not only is he able to generate ideas, he's able to generate ideas among team members. Because not only are you a repository of ideas, you need to also help people tap into their own repository. And I've seen Mr. Arun Subramaniam do that so beautifully. In fact, I was given this opportunity just about 4 days back. I got a call from him and says, Danny, there's a slot over here. Would you like to take it? And mind you, friends, when I get a call from Mr. Arun, I can never say no. Because I've seen his commitment. I've seen the way he did his innovation, creativity, and design thinking, and a few other sessions, the insights that he brought in. And if a person of that standing can call me and say, can you take the slot? I said, okay, I'm taking it. Because here, he could throw down a challenge, and I took it because he could influence me. The reason is that he's a generator of ideas. And as somebody said, you need to be articulator of ideas. You might have the best of ideas, but how to put it across in a manner that people can understand is very important. You can be a creative thinker, you can be a design thinker, but if you're not able to articulate it, all the thinking is waste. So articulation of ideas, so one needs to develop that skill to articulate ideas. And finally, that person has to be assertive. Influencer is assertive. Influencer is not a goody-goody person. You're not talking about an influencer who's always being loved by people. They say leadership is not a popularity contest. The more you are unpopular, the more you're a leader. Because you're unpopular, because you've got great vision and people are not able to see it, but you know it works. So therefore, you need to ensure that people can buy into it and you need to put your foot down when it so demands. So it's just not about footing a weak foot and being passive, not being aggressive, but being assertive, where you put your foot down when it needs to be and you assert yourself. And that is where leadership works. For instance, we say whenever you're influencing people, use the 4F. One is that be friendly with the person. And if the friendliness does not work, be fair with that person. Understand why the person is saying what he or she is saying. And then be firm. If they're still not able to buy in, after your 2F don't work, the third F is be firm. And if all these 3F don't work, then use the 4th F. What you want to put in the word for the 4th F, I leave it to your choice. But what I want to tell you is that if it needs a person to be fired, a person has to be fired. If it needs a person to be pulled up, the person has to be pulled up. And that is what is an assertive behavior. So these are the traits. And we are gathered over here and probably you're an influencer. And these are probably a reinforcement to what you learned or what you know. Or probably there is something new that you took away. But let's develop these traits and influence because we want to make this world a better place to live in. So therefore, influencing is a skill, understanding people and communicating. When I say skill, you need to understand people and communicate. That can be developed through training. So therefore, it is not education. It is there within us. We need to bring it out. And for us to bring it out, you need to know how to understand people's emotions and you need to communicate, and that can be developed through training. So effective communication plays a very important role, a critical role in developing and sustaining relationship with people. So therefore, communication is a very important skills in relating with people. So then we have this human relation principles. When it is exercised with effective communication skills, helps in positively influencing people in achieving the desired results. So therefore, the two important traits that we need to develop is our ability to, in addition to all the traits that I told you, is ability to understand people, understand our own selves and our emotions, and then communicate ideas across. So therefore, in order to articulate, it's very important that you have a structure and content of what you want to propose, what you want to influence. You should have the confidence and ease. When you have the confidence, people look at it and are convinced. And here, you're also not stressed. You're able to convey things across to people. You need to have the energy and intensity. Okay, the energy and intensity is the carrier of your emotions. So energy and intensity is from within you. When you're absolutely convinced it, and then people are able to sense it. And then they say, I don't understand what he said, but one thing I know, he means what he says. Have clarity and flow, very important. When you're putting across your idea, ensure there's clarity. I've seen a lot of people make a lot of presentation, but clarity has been missing and the flow is not there. People use a lot of non-words and fillers, verbal fillers. See, all these are barriers. All these are distractors. It is said it's best to pause, because a pause is an effective word in communication. When I say I pause to get my ideas across and not pause because I lost a word in my mind. So therefore, these are very simple things because people love to be an influencer. If you go to the YouTube, you'll find so many people are able to get their ideas across because they have the clarity and flow. And very important, time matters. So in a given time, you might have the world of time to communicate, but the world does not have the time to listen to your communication. So therefore, use your time well. That means use your life well. Whatever time is given to you to make a presentation, do it well. What is needed? Don't pack in too much and let not people think, oh my God, so much is there. We missed out from this person. But instead have little, but ensure you can elaborate on that. So this is a structure of effective articulation. As we said, I'm here to also introduce the Peak Performer workshop that I've been conducting in the name of MILT for the MILT Training Foundation. So in the program, we train people to learn to handle emotions. Very important. Emotions are like electricity. They can be dynamic and erratic. We need to know how to handle our emotions, because emotions can swing with happiness to one end and swing with desperation on the other end. But if a vehicle is going to left and right, it's not going to go to the destination. So that having your emotions handled, and then when you trust it, that's what is energy put in motion. So learn to overcome challenges. As I told you, we all face challenges in life, but how do we learn to handle it is what is being as a curriculum of the Peak Performer workshop. That is what is PPW. Develop relationship. It can be interpersonal and intrapersonal relationship. Exit your comfort zone. Many a time people are very, very comfortable in their comfort zone. And the moment a person is in the comfort zone, the person is not going to grow at all. They say if the caterpillar opted to be in the cocoon, it wouldn't have been a beautiful butterfly. So therefore, we need to every moment challenge our comfort zone. That means get out of it. If you've been doing something good, fine. Now take the next step and do something uncomfortable. And that is where we are growing. Understand your fears and insecurities and overcome them. This is a long and short of the Peak Performer workshop, but the workshop in itself is very, very intense. I can tell you in 12 batches, we have trained about 150 people. We take a small group of people and train them. And I can tell you, they have experienced the effectiveness and the intensity as they would in the classroom. So the Peak Performer workshop details are, we have got totally number of sessions as 8 live online sessions spread over 3 weeks' time. The duration of each of these sessions is 2 hours. Delivery methodology, we have got a live online training where I'm there, and offline we have got trainers who also prepare you to get into the online. So effectively, it's a 3-week program. Though it might say 8 sessions, it's 3 weeks. As a class, you come as for 8 sessions, but otherwise you're preparing, because only then can you find the intensity. Otherwise, you'll get some more information of personal development, but we want you to internalize it, and that's where the training is. We take a maximum of 24 participants. The reason is that it's being participative in a group. We also handle individuals in a group. So therefore, we need to have the time for that. Now, the time and the date, as I told you, it's going to be on a weekend and Wednesdays. That means we'll have 3 weekends, Saturday, Sunday. That'll be in the afternoon session. and Wednesday, it will be in the evening. Okay. Now, the time of the program, the afternoon session on Saturday, Sunday will be 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And on Wednesday, it will be 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. The 12th batch is what we're going to do now. We've got a batch. The batch starts on, these are the dates of the batch. The 10th is Saturday, Sunday, and Wednesday. It goes like that. So, and the program ends on 25th. And then those people who finish the program, meeting the standard set in the program, are given a certificate. And this is a very, very valuable certificate. You would certainly like to frame it and keep it as a mantelpiece. And this will remind you of the intensive training program that you received. And this will certainly pep you up to become a peak performer, constantly remind you of becoming a peak performer. And here, the beauty of the program is that we don't conduct training program and pep you up and leave you. It becomes a soda bottle enthusiasm. You fizzle fast. Or Petromax, those days we had Petromax light. You got to pump it and light, and again you got to pump it. But you want to ensure that it is not a burst of enthusiasm, but we want to give you a continuous growth opportunity. And how do you do that? You've got monthly alumni meets, very important. I did the program in 1988. What kept me going was the alumni meets I attended month on month on month for the next 10, 15 years. And then I was able to be comfortable. So therefore, this community that we develop, this alumni that we develop, is giving you an opportunity where you get an opportunity to express yourself via with a community of growth-oriented people who are selfless. They work with I win, you win. That means your win is my win. Why do people like all this Ivy business colleges? Business college, the reason is that not because of the 2 years of the course, but because of the community that has been set where they continue to help each other and they grow. So therefore, we provide you with the alumni, and this has been happening for 30 plus years, and you become a bandwagon of an alumni meet where you get an opportunity to interact, grow, and keep developing. And once in 2 years, we have a national convention where we have people who are trained, come over in the month of December 2021. We'll have it in Mumbai. And this is a high energy place where we meet, fraternize, and get our skills sharpened and really grow further. So therefore, these are continuous growth opportunities. And we're also socially conscious in that we've got a home for destitute children called Snehalya, where we develop children from the age group of 5 and give them a comprehensive growth activity. We also have a movement called New Revolution of India, because having developed yourself, you also need to work for the betterment of the nation. Whichever nation you belong to, we owe our allegiance to that nation, and we need to work for the betterment of the nation. But the sight is that we want to ensure this world is a little better because I came here. Each one of us coming into this world should make this world a better place to live in because I come over here. In a short span that we might visit this planet, let's make this world a better place to live in. So what is the course fee? Generally, it is when I was doing the classroom training, the last batch that I did was in Chennai in the month of February. And there we charged 30,000 rupees for the program. And now being an online program, it is costing you 8,000 Indian rupee. Okay. Now, this is the course fee that we are going to charge you, but you'll be shared the link. You can pay 1,000 rupee and using the link and as an advance and register yourself into the program. And by 2nd of April, you can pay the remaining money and get into a training program which develops you, trains you to become an influencer and a person who can make things happen rather than see things happen. Okay, so here we have got a YouTube as well. You can always log into this YouTube. You can go into the YouTube of Peak Performer Workshop and you'll find the testimonials of people where it was recorded live on their graduation sermon. Okay, so this is the link. I think Mr. Mohan will share the link with you and you can pay up advance of 1,000 rupees and then we can get a call together so that I can brief you more about the program that is on. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm done with my presentation. And if you have any doubts, questions, you can ask me on the subject or about the course that is about to happen. Yeah, the link is there. You can use that. I look forward to seeing you in the program. Any questions?
Till which date we have to give you 1,000 rupees in advance?
Sir, advance you can pay now till by 2nd of April. We want you to pay the full money, sir, because we have got some onboarding formalities which we need to work on, because we do it in a very structured manner. So we need that much of a time. So you pay the advance right now, and by 2nd or 3rd, you pay up your full money. Okay.
I have the second question also. How is benefited to us starter training industry?
How is it beneficial?
How this program benefited to those who are starter in the industry?
See, here this is a personal development training program. Okay, that means yeah.
Please carry on.
Yes, sir. So this is a personal development training program, sir. So when a person develops himself or herself, wherever they go and they become an asset. Okay. Now, as a startup unit, that person is probably need to develop interpersonal skills, need to express, need to develop human relation skills. So all these are given the input over there. All these inputs are given so that that individual is a strong individual to face the challenges and go ahead, sir. Yes, Mr. Balraj. Where are you from, Mr. Balraj?
I'm from Delhi.
Delhi. Okay. Nice to have you from Delhi. We have people from Noida who have joined. Okay. How did you get to know about the program, Mr. Balraj? Baldev.
Yeah, I got on the WhatsApp group I have.
Okay.
Same group WhatsApp.
Okay. So look forward to seeing you there. Okay.
Thank you. Nice. Everything very clearly, very listed, very detailed. Jandar, Shandar. जबरदस्त प्रोग्राम आपने किया है अभी, बहुत इंफॉर्मेटिव दिया और बहुत इंटीग्रिटी के साथ दिया है, सत्यता के साथ दिया है.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, Mr. Sanjay wants the second phone number. Mohan, can we share the phone number? Okay. So is it a one-to-one training? Kavita madam, this is a program. You are in a group, okay, of 24 people. Now there are certain activities given to you. Okay, you prepare and come into the program. So here you make a presentation individually there. Okay, presentation or whatever that I've given you. And then we give you feedback in the group. So that means you get feedback for yourself in the group. And when I give feedback to the group members, you also can relate with that feedback. So it's just not one-to-one training. It is one-to group, and then certainly one-to-one training is given offline. Okay, offline in sense during the 3 weeks time. Other than the 8th session, we give you one-to-one training as well, but you're also in the group. Yes. Okay, right. Anybody else, any questions? Okay. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, I really thank you for your presence, for being in this webinar and making it a success, because we want audience to listen and you were there, you made it possible. Over to you, Mohan.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Daniel Jacob. This was a very interesting and very engrossing program that we had today as a prelude to the Peak Performer workshop. It was highlighting the facet on influencing, the challenges on influencing, how to influence people. So it was very lively, and I'm sure that people got interested and they are looking for more details as well on the program. And it's very good if you can also, if participants will also be able to share this program details with others who could benefit through the program as well. And having said that, before we seek any other queries or clarification from the participants, I would like to call upon Mr. Arun Subramaniam to share a few words on the program today, and as well as the plans that we have for the ensuing days in March.
Good evening, Mohan. Thanks a lot for your opportunity. I would sincerely like to thank Mr. Daniel for an excellent program. And on behalf of Top League, I would like to request all participants to avail of this opportunity to attend Mr. Daniel's Peak Performer Workshop program and benefit from it. You see, MILT, as far as I know, has been a trailblazer in leadership training since 1977, when Mr. Oparesh came back from the US and started the program in India. Historically, Mr. Oparesh was one of the trainers for Dale Carnegie Institute in the US, and when he wanted to bring it to India, Dale Carnegie was not interested in doing so. So he had to come and start it in the name of McGraw Institute of Leadership Training, McGraw being the lead trainer for Dale Carnegie Institute. Since then, Mr. Oparesh has been doing a yeoman service to the society in training people like Sri Ravi Shankar, Janardhan Reddy, Mr. Mahatriya, even Rajan Muthukrishnan of TTT was also a student of Oparesh and a batchmate of Mr. Danny. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, Danny has been responsible for, to a large extent, for Mr. Rajan establishing himself also. And I'm sure his program will be of great value. Well, if I were asked, I would say it is a good opportunity to, spend some quality time with Mr. Danny. The total course fee is only 8,000. 30,000 is for when he was doing offline classroom course, but that is available today for just 8,000 in 8 sessions, online sessions, supported by his team of co-trainers offline. And I look forward to Mr. Daniel giving more such programs on Top League, so that, in every program he's talking one aspect of behavioral training, which itself is a very big benefit for all the members. Please continue doing so, Mr. Daniel. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
And second thing is, tomorrow we have got Mrs. Archana Madhu talking to us on mindfulness, and followed by Mr. Narendra Nayak, a Navy veteran who has fought in the Bangladesh war. He will be sharing his idea on U-turn. He has got a wonderful take on life, and he is sharing his expertise as to how he grew, how he handled the challenges which came in his life during his defense services. I sincerely request all of you to be present tomorrow for Archana Madhu's course, as well as Mr. Narendra Nayak's program. Thanks a lot. Good night to you all.
Thanks a lot, and good night, everybody. Thank you so much once again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, friends. Good night. And we will call this as a day, and we'll meet tomorrow, and hope you see you everyone tomorrow by evening, 7 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.